For our guy, Juju Smith-Schuster, we get probably the best news possible. Going to the Kansas City Chiefs, this is a great fit overall for a multitude of different reasons. I could not be more excited about this. And before we get into anything, I really have to let everybody know, if you are new to the flock, let me inform you on how idiotic I truly am. If y'all remember, back in 2018, after Juju Smith-Schuster's second year in the league, after Juju came out and had a top 10 wide receiver finish, playing the majority of the season at 21 years old, and he was going into his age 22 season and had broken pretty much every age-adjusted production metric you could ever find, I was all in on Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm sure that the majority of y'all know that he was a round one startup pick. Not only was I drafting him in round one, I was advising other people to be drafting him in round one. And then he came out 2019. This is when Antonio Brown was gone. We had a lot of people, a lot of haters telling me, Antonio Brown leaving is bad for Juju Smith-Schuster. Antonio Brown leaving is going to make it where they double team Juju. He's not going to be able to find success. Juju Smith-Schuster cares more about TikTok than he does with football. And I was saying, okay, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Juju Smith-Schuster, he can have his TikTok. He can have his YouTube. It's not going to affect his NFL career. You are being a boomer right now. Well, maybe I should have listened to those people a little bit more, because Juju Smith-Schuster fails in 2019, but he was injured that season. Let's remember that. Let's remember the injuries that Juju Smith-Schuster suffered combined with Ben Roethlisberger. So I was like, you know what? Let's overlook this year. Yes, Deontay Johnson outplayed Juju Smith-Schuster, but that's an anomaly. We are all in Juju, the best buy low in Dynasty. And what happens in 2020? 2020, yet again, another disappointing season. Yet again, another year where Juju is not a top 24 wide receiver. And I have to go out there and say, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying him. It was based on the injury. Juju would have had a successful season if it wasn't for yet another injury-plagued year. Then we get 2021. And of course, there is nothing more painful than seeing a wide receiver that I advise people to draft 3 years in a row lose value every single season as he goes down the line. So not only have I been dumb in drafting Juju on all my own Dynasty rosters, going and buying low on him on all my own teams. So Juju Smith-Schuster is one of my highest owned players at this point, because I was trading for him everywhere last year. So I apologize for anybody that I've steered in the wrong direction along the way. That's why I've been a little quiet about Juju this offseason, even though a lot of the OGs know how much I love him. And I could not be more excited about this landing spot, because there are a couple different things we can talk about. A, the fact that he's now playing with the best quarterback in the NFL. Okay, that's probably a pretty good thing. I am not a scientist. I am not a mathematician. But I do know that if you were a wide receiver in the National Football League, playing with Patrick Mahomes is a good thing for your production. Now, another mark with this is if you look at how Juju Smith-Schuster operates in the NFL, what could possibly be the best thing for Juju? It's to have a vertical element on the opposite side of the football field that's going to take attention away from defenses, similar to what Antonio Brown did a very long time ago. And that's the perfect receiver for Juju, and that's the exact receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs with Tyreek Hill. So if we are looking at these unique combinations of Juju fitting perfectly alongside Tyreek, where Juju's going to have a lower average depth of target, and Tyreek Hill is that speedster that's going to make it where NFL defenses have to keep two safeties back, Juju will be able to consistently demand targets at a rate where it wasn't possible for Demarcus Robinson. It wasn't possible for Byron Pringle. It wasn't possible for Mecole Hardman. I understand that a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, come on, let's not overreact here. This situation for Juju Smith-Schuster, it isn't great. I mean, are you kidding me? Have we looked at what Mecole Hardman's done over the past 2 seasons? Okay. I think that we need to take a step back. we need to understand how good of a wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster has proven to be whenever he's playing alongside that top option in his offense. And that top option with Antonio Brown, particularly back in 2018. In 2018, with Antonio Brown on that same team, 166 targets, 111 receptions, over 1,400 receiving yards. Let me repeat this. In 2018, he started the year at 21 years old and played the majority of this season at 21 years old. This is Jamar Chase last year. That's literally what this is. 166 targets, 111 receptions, and over 1,400 receiving yards. Juju Smith-Schuster is currently 25 years old. Please, let's not use the logic of Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, and Byron Pringle failing as the wide receiver 2 in Kansas City. Do not think that is a one-for-one comparison on what we are now projecting with Juju Smith-Schuster, because Juju is in a completely different league than those other options. Now, another thing that I want to bring up here, and I don't like speaking of this because, of course, it's so hard to predict the downfall of these players, especially when they're some of the best options in the NFL. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the NFL, and it's not even close. Travis Kelce will be 33 this season. Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski are currently the same age. So I understand Travis Kelce. If you're talking from a redraft perspective, Travis Kelce is still the tight end 1. Travis Kelce is still an elite option in fantasy and in Dynasty. But I don't necessarily think that Kelce is going to be able to continue to close in on 10 targets a game over the next 3 years in Kansas City. I don't think that he's going to be able to maintain that same exact role. Of course, he's still going to be an effective tight end. I'm not saying that Travis Kelce all of a sudden is going to take a massive step back because he's 33. No, we haven't seen any signs of slowing down. Travis Kelce is still an elite player. But I want to put into context, he is 33. With Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is also going to be another player closing in on, I don't want to say exiting his prime, but he's a speedster wide receiver that is 28 years old. And these options are a little bit different than what we were going to have with DeAndre Hopkins. I want to say DeAndre Hopkins. I want to say Cooper Kupp. Those wide receivers that win by creating separation or winning at the catch point. I think that they are going to be able to transition a little better late into their NFL careers, very similar to a Larry Fitzgerald, compared to someone like Tyreek Hill that wins with athleticism. But that's not to say that Tyreek Hill needs to take a step back. That's not to say that Travis Kelce needs to take a step back for Juju Smith-Schuster to be a great option in fantasy. Because all we need to see is the committee of receivers that have been cycling through for that wide receiver 2 spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. We need that to be a condensed player in Juju Smith-Schuster. Because if we go through and if we say, well, Juju is a complete tier above of what you had with a Mecole Hardman, what you had with Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson. And if we just kind of give Juju Smith-Schuster the majority of each of those wide receivers' production, I mean, Mecole Hardman averaged about 8 points per game this past season. If we look at Byron Pringle averaged 7.5 points per game. Demarcus Robinson. Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Demarcus Robinson, about 3.5 points per game. So if you're looking at that collection of wide receivers, that committee alone was able to get up to close to 18, 19 points per game. Now, of course, it's impossible to project Juju to take all their production and have it as his own. But can he take 75% of that? Can he take 80% of those 3 receivers and transition this team away from being one that just cycles those options through to has a very condensed target tree between 3 players in Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Juju Smith-Schuster, very similar to what we see in Seattle with only DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and really those other wide receivers on the depth chart not necessarily getting the snaps or the routes run to be able to siphon off targets from those top options. And I think it's possible for Juju because if you look at the personnel, he's the perfect player to play alongside Tyreek Hill. He's had the production before. He's 25. If something were to occur, I'm not saying something will, but what we have to understand is Right now, we can't project Juju Smith-Schuster to be a top 24 wide receiver. If you say, Mason, is Juju Smith-Schuster a wide receiver 2 this season? No, I think Juju from a median outlook probably is a wide receiver 3. But we have to look at it with the range of outcomes. So while it's unlikely that Juju Smith-Schuster is a top 24 option at the position, and trust me, out of all people, I would love to try to say that. I think while it's unlikely he's a top 24 player, it would be possible for Juju Smith-Schuster to be a top 12 option. And that is with an injury to Tyreek Hill, an injury to Mahomes. An injury to Kelsey. Because Mahomes is going to elevate this entire offense regardless of the playmakers around him. And you know that we are going to get a certain floor with this passing offense, that if you were to see one of those significant injuries to a Tyreek Hill, to a Travis Kelsey, that is how you unlock the elite level upside for Juju Smith-Schuster. So with Juju, I currently have him ranked in the same tier as Courtland Sutton, Allen Robinson, and Hunter Renfrow. He has to jump these receivers. I think we have George Pickens, Brandon Cooks, Jameson Williams, Jahan Dotson, Kadarius Toney, Christian Kirk all above him. I have to have Juju ahead of every single one of those guys. I think Juju is going to be a low-end wide receiver 3 in our Dynasty rankings. I understand that sounds like it's low, but if you pull up these Dynasty rankings, it's actually hard to get him much higher than that. I think we have to move Juju ahead of Claypool, ahead of Bateman, ahead of Ridley, and behind Mike Williams. I mean, based on what we saw with Mike Williams this past season, also in a great situation in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert, I think that's where you have to draw the line. You'd prefer Mike Williams in Dynasty over Juju Smith-Schuster. But as it stands, Juju is our wide receiver 35 in Dynasty. And I think it really does come down to the fact that you're looking at him probably as a wide receiver 3, given the offense he's playing in, if Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey stay healthy, but it's in the range of outcomes for an injury to either Tyreek Hill or 33-year-old Travis Kelsey for Juju Smith-Schuster to become a top 12 option at the position, as we've seen it before. Now, of course, I hope this video was able to help you out. I hope that you're able to get excited about someone that I've been way too excited about year in and year out for a very long time. I've lost a lot of money on him. I've caused a lot of people to lose a lot of money on him, which I apologize for immensely. Trying not to be overly aggressive here. I think we're being fair with the ranking of having him, directly behind Amara St. Brown, Darnell Mooney, Mike Williams, and directly ahead of Rashad Bateman, Chase Claypool, and Calvin Ridley. But of course, thank you again. Drop a like on the video, and I hope to see you with the video tomorrow.